editor-in-chief of Sex and the State, and she's also a regular contributor to Bitcoin magazine. Her writing has appeared in Forbes, the Chicago Tribune, Vice Motherboard, Reason Magazine, Talking Points Memo, the Washington Examiner, and the Daily Caller. Please give a round of applause for Kathy Reisenbitz.
From alternative music, as one of MTV's first DJs, to alternative political philosophies, Keenedy has always been a trailblazer. She's published 2 bestsellers, the latest of which is The Keenedy Chronicles, a hilarious ride through her years at MTV. She now hosts The Independent, along with Matt Welch and Camille Foster, which is a distinctly libertarian take on the news of the day. Pardon? Can you hear me on? Sorry. It is one of the most exciting new shows to hit the mainstream. Please join me in welcoming the beautiful, talented, and hilarious Keenedy.
Otherwise, but you're not. You're students for liberty. You're anomalies, and I will tell you why. It's Kurt Cobain. We're going to talk about Kurt Cobain. He's awesome. Are there any Gen Xers here, self-identified? You don't have to. See? Yes. Okay. The title of this is "My Generation's Better Than Yours," and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. I don't really want to propagate generational warfare because the government's already doing that for us. But it's kind of fun to poke a few holes in the millennial balloon because you guys are so special. You're so special and wonderful. And don't worry, I got something to say about that a little later on too. So let's first define what millennials and Gen Xers are, because those are really the only 2 generations that I'm concerned about. Not the baby boomers who are robbing us blind. Enough about that later on. Gen Xers are born between 1965 and 1980, roughly. You know, when I was in my 20s, he said, you're only a Gen Xer if you're born between 1968 and 1974. That's it. So, you know, and I thought that was pretty narrow and nonsensical. But now they broaden the generational definitions, and millennials, as you know, are born between 1980 and 2000. So if any of you are 14, I'd like to see your identification because I'd like to know how you got into this conference in the first place. So that's where millennials are. And if you're going to talk about a generation, if you're going to talk about a group of people, one of the things that I like to do, because I do have a history in music, I host a music radio show. I started in music radio, and translated to MTV in the 90s when we actually played music. It was a really important, wonderful thing. We played like full-length music videos, not just 15 seconds of them. And people would sit and watch. It was glorious. And this was at the height of Nirvana's apex. I guess would be, you know, the same thing as a redundancy. But this was from MTV Unplugged, and I went there, and it was awesome. And I had no idea how good it was. But it was a really magical, wonderful night. And Kurt Cobain kind of embodied what it meant to be a Gen Xer. He was someone who worked really hard, had a punk rock ethos, and hated fame. Because believe it or not, there was a time when for women it was great to be kind of unattractive and make it seem like you hadn't showered for several weeks. This is true. Like you really wanted to look as poor and unkempt as possible. Because if you showed up to a party and Doc Martens in a baby doll dress and hair that had developed its own dreadlocks, some dude would be like, ah, she looks musky. It's kind of hot. And like it's super feminist, I'm not going to embarrass her by ogling her boobies kind of way. And Kurt Cobain, he embodied all that because although he had the sexy short facial hair, he always wore the grandpa cardigans, and he worked really hard, which is another defining characteristic of Gen Xers. Like actually wanting to work. Can you believe it? The entire generation of people who were generation that was defined by the Reagan era, by the Cold War, by the space shuttle exploding, by divorce. You know, there were latchkey kids, and we'll get into parenting a little bit because I think that that is also so incredibly necessary when you talk about the difference in generations. And this really was our poster child. And, you know, if you talk about musical icons, you know, you're always touched by someone whose trajectory is cut short, whether it's through tragedy or by their own hand or both. And the case of Kurt Cobain, he took his own life. It was almost too much. And, you know, and this is someone that even after years of trying to eschew labels, Gen Xers finally go, okay, fine, we're part of a generation. We're so apathetic, and we've been disinclined to embrace anything for so long, but eventually we embraced the Cobain, and God rest his soul in heaven. So millennials also have to have their defining person. And there has to be a musical icon who's also on a collision course with disaster, whose songs mean something, who reaches out to the hearts and minds of that generation and not only defines them and entertains them, but transcends the musicality and the importance. And I don't have a clicker, but can we go to the next picture? Ding, ding, ding. Is there a clicker? Okay, there's this thing. Does that do anything? Oh, hey. Okay, let's see. Yes, there he is! This is your Kurt Cobain. Isn't that a bummer? We have a guy from Seattle who changed music, who literally shifted. There was an entire musical shift that not only defined a group of people born, you know, arbitrarily within a certain number of years, but after the music was so intense, it changed music. I mean, it went from glam rock and metal to something so strange and ineffable, and it wasn't quite punk, and it wasn't quite hard rock, and now you guys have Justin Bieber, which is amazing. And I know that many of you would be like, no, man, we have Connor Oberst and Demi Lovato, and they're way more important. And now that you heard Demi Lovato's version of Let It Go from Frozen, it's so intense, man. So I just wanted to poke fun because whenever I look at this picture, I go, Tegan and Sarah, is that you? They're girls. But it's funny because I mentioned the Dachshund baby doll dresses, which are coming of age once again. And it's quite possible that your parents conceived you while they were watching me. So in a way, I'm your doula. Yeah. My DNA might be somehow imbued within your bodies. So if you were conceived between the fall of 1992 and the summer of 1997, we're practically related. Is there anyone here who falls into that category? You ask your parents. Just go home and be like, did you used to watch an insane woman in pajamas on MTV at night? Did you and Dad ever? And you're like, well, you know what, honey? Yeah, we did. It was a super fun night, and it was, our fourth year at college. And by God, there you were 40 weeks later, and you're so special. Which gets us into parenting, because how do you have such distinct differences in the generations? I mean, you look at the baby boom. Well, you look at the greatest generation. You know, Tom Brokaw, the greatest generation. The people who fought in World War II and made this country even greater. Like, they fought for our freedom, and we had a post-industrial revolution, and it was amazing, and because of that we had Eisenhower, and he loved to golf, and he didn't do much of anything else, and that's how a president should be, right? That's the next generation. And then you have the boomers who give rise to Bill Clinton, and it's like, oh my green garden. But in retrospect, because he was, we had two defining presidents in the Generation X era, and I would say that would be Reagan, because we were all scared that we were going to be annihilated in nuclear war, which gave rise to the apathy and the divorces, because the parents were like, well, if the world's ending, shouldn't I be boning my secretary? And then, Clinton. And, Slim Billy, and whether you like him or not, the economy was great. And we didn't have wars, and you can say what you want about his statism, but it pales in comparison to the next guy and the next guy after him. I mean, they're an abomination. But how do we, whoa, hey, really? You want to be a bush basher? Okay. Yeah. But how do we get here? How do get to the point where we are so different from one another in so many ways. Because you have Generation Xers who are apathetic, and they have a style of parenting. It all comes down to helicopter parenting. And this is the characteristic that many millennial parents share, which is they are so involved in their kids' lives that they have created a multitude of psychological deficiencies. And, we call it the law of unintended consequences. It's like with Obamacare. You pass health care because you think that, the uninsured really need to be taken care of, for people who have pre-existing conditions. And then all of a sudden you have people cutting their employees back to part-time. You have 35 million people who no longer have insurance, no one can tell if they've got the insurance, and there's the unintended consequences. So a helicopter parent is someone who's constantly hovering over their child's life. And there was a great story that came out 2 years ago about colleges having to tell parents to leave because parents would stay for like a week. And they bunk in and go to Target and get everything and make sure and send your laundry home. I'll give you the FedEx labels and I'll do it. Because you're so effing screwed up and retarded that you won't be able to do it yourself. So just let Mama Bear wipe that stuff clean. And that's just one style of parenting, but there are a lot of people who are parented that way. There's also, last night, and I always look at movies and parenting the same way. Like, whenever I watch a movie, I say to myself, I look at the main characters and I say, all right, who's the libertarian? And, and I have 2 girls, 4 and 8, and so we watch Frozen incessantly. And, it's still in the theater, so it's very expensive. They're no longer going to private universities. I'm like, well, okay, we can have the M&Ms, but, this means you're going to a state school, right? You have to community college and a trade school, that's it. But so I watched that. Has anyone seen this movie? What are you, 4? No, you've got kids, that's so sweet. I bet. Or you're creepy. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But Elsa is a libertarian. She's like, you know what, screw it. Screw you guys. I'm different, and you make me feel weird, so I'm going to go build myself an awesome castle, and I'm going to freeze it out, and you guys are going to be in nuclear winter for eternity. So eat it, suck it, I'll do it with one glove. And I do the same thing with parenting. I look at different parenting styles, and I think, what's going to give rise to libertarians? I got news for you. That ain't it. All right? That's why I say you guys are anomalies. Because if you were helicopter parented and you're still libertarians at this young of an age, it's by some genetic malfunction, which I praise and hail completely. Because I really think authoritarian parenting makes the most libertarians. Last night I was at the airport, and there's a guy, and he was like a Coke can-shaped penis. Like, he was just this meathead who kept yelling at his son, and his son could do nothing. He's just, Mike, sit down. Mike, you're going to sleep. Mike, I swear to God, Mike. And, the poor Mike's like, what, Dad? He's all, like, weird and shaky, and libertarian in the making. And not to be all Mayor Bloomberg, but they gave the kid a 20-ounce Pepsi. And he sits there swilling the thing, like, where's my iPad? Where's my iPad? I'm dead. I swear to God. But he might be the first libertarian president. So look out for Mike. He's probably 11. So in 25 years, he could be the guy. And then remember the speech. And then there's the permissive parents, like, yeah, do whatever you want. And those are hippies. And I mean, come on. Like, very few libertarians actually come from hippies. But helicopter parents, I think, breed liberals because or commies, like, not even, because you can be socially liberal, man. Like, that's what's so great about being a libertarian. Like, you can love Austrian school economics and, still smoke weed. Like, that's part about being a libertarian, right? But commies are people, I think, who are most reliant upon some outside source, which is what helicopter parents do. They create a system of reliance. Now, look at little safety bubble set. And that's what they do when the world is hard and cold and sharp. And if you go through your life like this, wrapped in bubble wrap and a helmet, what the hell good is it going to do for you? Now, I would like to think that my generation's parenting style was like hobo parenting. All right, because so many people were divorced and so many moms went into poverty, and it was really like, yeah, just be home by dinner or November. Just fend for yourself, learn how to do it. And my generation went, oh, really? No, that kind of sucks, but okay. There's not going to be any Social Security? Oh well. All right, so I've gotten caught up in the housing bubble. Well, that's kind of a problem. And I don't know that hobo parents necessarily create libertarians, but they do create libertarian characteristics. You know, there are a lot of people in my generation who are more do-it-yourself, more concerned about doing something interesting that might not have a huge impact because we still have this kind of skewed idea that selling out is bad, which doesn't even occur to millennials. It's the most fascinating thing. I interviewed a guy for a reason who wrote a book called The Sounds of Capitalism. And he wrote about how commercials have functioned in radio for so long and shaped consumerism, and how that was such a bad thing in the 90s, but in this era, there's no such thing as selling out. And that's how we were disciplined. Just put on the car, and Dad would drive us around like it's 99 miles per hour. It's like, hold on for dear life, son. It's like being a Pentecostal snake handler. If you don't get bit and killed, then you are truly blessed. Oh, Ron Swanson. Yes! It's really good that suckles on taxpayers' teeth until they have sore chapped nipples. And the point of this is we're all getting screwed. We're all getting hosed. As much fun as it is to point out the musical and cultural differences in millennials and Gen Xers, we are getting absolutely screwed when it comes to entitlements. It doesn't matter if you were raised with a sense of entitlement, with a sense that you were special, with a sense that you pooped rainbows, because you didn't. And then you get out into the workforce and you realize, like, you're just like every other garden variety 20-something. You know, and you have to work really hard, and success might require time as one of its important blossoming elements. It's funny because they talk about apathy when they talk about Gen Xers. I think that's crapathy. I don't think that we should sit by idly as we are robbed with every new entitlement. I mean, that's the thing. Just take Social Security alone. You know, you take the number of workers and you take the number of retirees, and the graph just kind of goes like this until it becomes like a shark mouth, and it's going to devour our collective generations. You know, you have boomers that I love boomers. I love you guys. You are going to look so good for so long because that's an important thing to you. But you are gobbling up expensive pills at a rate that is totally unsustainable. I mean, I don't remember so many drugs and so many things that would give you either diarrhea or fatal bleeding. And that's also that's what happens when you have so much government regulation that the FDA makes you, when you make a happy commercial, like, I'm no longer depressed, but I have loose, greasy stools. You know, and there's nothing about that makes me go, oh yeah, now I'm a little sad and tired. Well, you know, maybe I should just throw on a diaper and be even more apathetic about it. That's a bummer. But yeah, you guys, for whatever, I mean, it's, you know, the Cialis and the Communex or whatever the RA drug is, and, you know, for your joints and your perky boobies and all that stuff. You guys swallow, you just gobble so many pills. And that's expensive because the federal government and insurance companies and drug manufacturers are all in cahoots with one another to keep you guys completely high and addicted to this notion that you're going to live forever and that you're going to look great. And somehow we're going to foot the bill for it. And that is such malarkey nonsense. I mean, it truly is. Like, Social Security and Medicare eat up so much of the budget. And now you have Obamacare, which was supposed to create, here, I gotta do my best Nancy Pelosi impression, 2 million jobs. 2 million jobs. And 200,000 of them right off the bat. And it's like, hold on your spank, sister, because that is complete and utter nonsense. I mean, you are lying through your carefully crafted cosmetic dentistry. You know, she and Joe Biden alone, Botox must be the most lucrative import into this country because between the two of them, they have not had a natural facial expression in about 15 years. So, you know, and when I hear these lies, like Nancy Nancy Pelosi drives me to drink. And maybe it's because I live in California, and maybe it's because I just like drinking. Everything she says, I don't know if she's got a stack of Post-its in her underwears because she seems to pull them out of her arse. You know, whether it's Obamacare or environmental regulations, and I'm like, really, she's from my state? What is wrong with you people? And then I drive around California, I'm like, oh, Stockton. Oh, San Bernardino. Oh, yeah, I get it. But it's, you know, they're all lies, and they're not being held accountable. And, you know, boomers, I love you, but the problem with you guys, and this is the biggest problem of all, you vote. That's it. You vote. They're terrified of you. They're terrified to means test anything or take away any of your entitlements or raise your retirement age or anything that might possibly even squeak of government responsibility. They won't do it. And, you know, Gen Xers vote now. Millennials are kind of like voting-ish. But, you know, and you guys are politically engaged. You guys, for some reason, are old souls. You understand it. The message has gotten through. And that's a beautiful thing. And I don't know if you should have, like, backyard punk rock shows or, you know, barn-burning church revivals. You know, they're mostly about free market economics, which is great. Like, that is totally enlightening. But, you know, you have to inspire and give rise to a cause that will catch fire in different generations, in future generations. And it's really funny because millennials have made such a huge mark. Like, what, have you ever thought, like, what's the next generation going to be? When I was your age, you know, it was before the Patriot Act. Yes, we could wear our shoes on the airplane. Yes. And the only time a man in a blue shirt filled me up on the way to the airplane was when I asked for it. His name is Rick. Now, but you know, in that generation, we really, you know, libertarianism was such a vague idea. And I remember I was on a speaking engagement tour with David Bowes, who was awesome. So David Bowes and I would go to places like Berkeley and try and convince people that privatizing Social Security was a great thing. And you can only imagine the response we got. I mean, we were practically booed off the stage, but we're both kind of contrarian, so we fed off the negative energy. We're like plants and ruled of too much carbon dioxide. We're like, we're flourishing. And Woody Harrelson was on the tour, and Joey Biafra, who is a singer of a punk rock band called the Dead Kennedys. And he is just, he's a total commie. And he was like, nah, libertarians are just Republicans who smoke pot. So no one really knew how to define a libertarian. And, you know, my message to you is define yourselves. Even though I'm sitting up here telling you you're not very special, oh, you are. You're all pretty snowflakes. And you're beautiful flowers and you're birds of paradise. But, you know, don't let someone else or something else, whether it be people from the far right, like Rick Santorum, or the far left, like Rich Maddow, tell you that you're freaks, or tell you that you're racist, or tell you in any way what you believe or why you believe it. Because you have to be steadfast. You have to stand for something greater than yourself, you know, whether it's your family or your beliefs or your political movement, and define it for yourself, because that is the only way, that's right, baby, that is the only way that you are going to affect the kind of change that is not only going to save your keister, but more importantly mine. Let's be honest. We are all getting hammered on student loan debt. Millennials hold about 40% of the student loan debt. Gen Xers hold 50%. We're actually getting more hammered by student loan. Gen Xers got just pummeled in the housing bubble because, you know, we were so mired in our own delusion that we believed that houses, the value of houses just went up forever, like, wee. And that torpedoed, and, you know, we just have less time. Because although we're still wearing docs and baby doll dresses, baby, we're getting on in years, and you really got to save us. So, inspire the next generation. Don't let anyone define you. And for God's sake, don't ever vote for Nancy Pelosi, especially if you live in California. I would gladly open it up to 5 minutes of questions if anyone talks about it. And you can ask them about the independents too. which I host with Camille Foster and Matt Welch 4 nights a week on the Fox Business Network. If you didn't know, that's where liberty lives. That's not their official slogan, but it's kind of. Live your passion. You can ask me. Oh, that's funny, you were putting on your sweater. I thought you had a. Hi, madam.
Hi, I can hold the microphone. My name is Julie Rashadi. I'm a reporter with the College Fix. Hi. I just wanted to ask you if you think that, it seems like your answer might be obvious, but how important do you think it really is to kind of engage people when they kind of come off saying that millennials are this way or millennials are that way? Are those conversations even fruitful to engage, or should we just...
I think it's awesome because I think it can be really funny. We, at the Independence, most of our staff is made up of people who technically fall into the millennial time frame. And, they're really funny and really self-effacing. And, if someone like me makes fun of millennials, just be like, yeah, really? Mark Zuckerberg. But I think it is totally fair and right to engage on anything. And always have, the nice thing about libertarians is you guys are in your heads and you're always thinking of an answer and you live on data. Not even protein shakes, but information and facts and white papers are your fuel. So just spew some of those out and people should be silenced. Thank you.
Hello. Sorry. So you're talking about generations, obviously, and Cohen is famous for saying that we're the most libertarian generation ever, and I was wondering if you could speak to that and your thoughts.
I think if someone is saying that, it's because you're going to have no choice, because the NSA is spying on you, and Edward Snowden was a guy that, and this is the funny thing about Snowden to me, because I think that was where a lot of people who were engaged with Obama, which, is not necessarily people in this room, like, I don't know how you voted in 2008 or if you could, or how you voted in 2012, but a lot of people who were engaged and really loyal to Obama, when the Snowden thing happened, it was like, wow, you have the ability to do that, and you're doing that? Like, you're completely screwing me, you're using information that should be keeping me safe, but really it's a domestic spying program that dwarfs anything that happened during the Cold War era. That's really lame. And then, the NSA tried to say, well, Edward Snowden was a dropout, and he was a loser, and he was lame. It's like, well, how did you web scrape 1.7 million documents from you then? Like, if you're so fantastic keeping us safe, you couldn't even send this guy to human resources for proper vetting? Like, ease up, Chuck.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Kennedy.
Hi.
Hey, I'd like to lay off on Nancy. She's my sweetheart. Let me tell you, I'd like to bend her over and do to her what she did to America. I want you to know that I am a boomer and I'm proud of it.
Good for you, Central Silver. You are keeping the economy afloat in many ways by buying expensive sedans and.
What do you want to ask you though?
Yeah. Oh, that was the question.
This show, The Independence, was my favorite.
Fantastic.
And Fox Network on business, they unfairly portray as only conservatives, they have only a certain point of view. But every show it gives fair time to Democrats, Alec Holmes and Bill Clinton. How do you counter this, unfairly characterizing Fox Network?
People are, and Roger said this recently, people tend to be jealous of success. And if you look at Fox News ratings, and I'm on Fox Business, I'm not on Fox News, okay, so I'm up here like, yeah, ratings, woo! I'm excited to be part of, the secret libertarian network, it's awesome, Stossel. That's awesome. That's what I'm about. But we give plenty of time too. We had Bernie Sanders on because he says he's an independent. He's so independent. Okay, very good. Hi. You're not gonna hurt me, are you?